Did you know you can expose someone's belief system in the first 5 minutes of a sales call and alter it to create certainty and get objectionless sales? So most salespeople miss these signals and wonder why they get hit with objections at the end of the call. When you understand that our beliefs drive our decisions, you can systematically move prospects from uncertainty to certainty before you make your offer. I'm going to share my screen on my iPad and walk you through this exact flowchart that's responsible for 30+ of my students making 10K plus per month as high-ticket closers. This is not about handling objections, it's about preventing them entirely by addressing belief systems early on. But before we dive in though, remember that these frameworks are guides, not scripts to memorize. The power isn't in the exact words, but in understanding the psychology behind them. Make them your own, but always deliver them with absolute conviction. That's where the real magic happens. So in the first 5 minutes, what needs to happen is that you get a problem out of someone. Now, if you don't know how to get a problem, go to my school Community Sales Edge. It's free, by the way. I have a step-by-step course material on how to get a problem from someone. Now, let's say you got a problem from someone. So what I'm going to ask is, how long have you been wanting to get out of your job so you can actually spend more time with the kids, right? Like something like that. Problem, tangible outcome, right? And they're usually going to give you a time frame like, oh, I don't know, 4 years. I don't know, like 10 months, whatever, right? Whatever time frame, right? Now, this is where the objection really hides. Because if you've been having a problem for 4 years, how come have you been tolerating that? What decision-making process have you adopted so far to keep on having the same problem over and over again and not really solve it by now? So what I'm going to ask is, what have you tried so far to get the results that you want? They're either going to say nothing or they're going to say, I've tried X, Y, Z. I've tried some type of program, whatever it is. Let's say they say nothing, right? I'm not going to be like, why though? Why haven't you tried? I'm not going to be like judgmental about it because I don't want them to get shut off. So what I'm going to ask is, okay, so a man of your caliber who has wanted to spend more time with the kids for 4 years, why haven't you tried anything though? You're going to ask in a confused, concerned tone, not a judgmental tone. Then they're usually going to give you an external reason. External reason is they're blaming on something else usually. So I was just busy, inflation, my parents, my job, I was just never had the right support, whatever it is, right? Now, why do we not settle with external reasons as high-ticket closers? The reason why is because external reasons lead to what? External objections. Because if their decision-making process is what? Blaming it on something else, for them to justify why they're currently at right now, then it's most likely that they're going to externalize when it comes to making a decision to get the results that they want. So it's not weird for them to say something like, yeah, like, for example, if you don't handle, I was just busy overall over here, then they're going to give you what objection? Hey, I think I'm too busy for this, right? Or if you don't handle my parents, for example, they're going to be like, well, I need to talk with my parents. I need to talk with someone else, right? Or they say, oh, it was my job, then they're going to give you like a job objection, right? A money objection, right? So you need to handle this before you actually pitch your services. So this question, by the way, over here, this is my trademark question. This question made me a lot of money. So you having those reasons is not 100% your fault, but your current situation that you're going through right now, whose problem is it to solve in the end? I ask in a very empathetic way, by the way, not a judgmental way. Most of the time, they're going to be like, yeah, it's obviously me. So knowing that it's your problem, right? Coming from extreme ownership perspective, what's really slow you down within you? Now, a lot of closers like to say prevented you or stopped you, but I usually found out that that creates resistance from people. So I like to just say slow down anyways. Like it's less triggering and it gets the job done anyways. And if you ask this the right way, 99% of the time, they're going to give you an what? An internal reason. Yeah, Joon, it was me. It was my comfort zone. It was just me procrastinating, right? It was just me, right? So now I'm going to say, well, I appreciate the honesty. Well, how does it make you feel knowing that you've wanted to be that father for kids and be more present with them for the last 4 years, but you're still in the same situation because it was no one else but yourself slowing yourself down? I want them to, what? Feel the weight of the question. We all make decisions based on emotion justified with logic, but they need to feel the what? The emotion behind their decision-making process that got them to where they're at right now. Now, I'm going to ask them, how much does procrastination cost you in terms of time, money, potential that you could have had for you and your family? If they understand how much it's cost them to make the same decision over and over again, they're not going to employ the same decision-making process when I make the pitch, right? But also at the same time, it justifies the price that I'm about to pitch them. So let's say they miss out on 50K a year potential or 100K, 120K a year potential, whatever it is, right? Then guess what? 5K program to get to 120K a year doesn't sound so bad, you know? I'm going to ask them, what happens if you keep on letting your procrastination get in the way? I like to always what? Consequence. Have them understand how bad their situation is if they keep on adopting the same mindset, adopting the same decision-making process. I'm going to ask them, well, I'm not going to overcome it for you. Like, how do you plan on overcoming your procrastination so you can actually get the results for you once and for all? Having them come up with their own answers. Now, why do you feel like now is the time to overcome that though? Urgency. Why now? Having them to confirm that now is the time. So why do you feel like now is the time to overcome that though, instead of just pushing it off like the other unsuccessful people do? Now, other unsuccessful people do, that's a frame. Successful people what? Make decisions right now. Unsuccessful people do, they like to procrastinate. Now, be careful of bullshit, by the way. They'd be like, oh, now or never, right? Like some movie quote from Rocky. Oh, well, I'm not going to get any younger, right? I'm just going to say, well, set that all aside for a second, but why is now the time within you though? I'm going to pause and ask them within you though. What's the internal reason? And then this is optional, by the way, but I like to say these anyway. So are you open to me holding your hand to the higher standard so you don't have to waste another 4 years down the road? Why though? Why are you open to that level of accountability? Because accountability is hard. That's how I make the sale. Now, another scenario is I have tried XYZ, right? So what have you tried so far to get the results that you want? I've tried XYZ. Well, what slowed you down from getting the results that you want with those methods? Coming from a place of what? Understanding. Seek to understand first, right? They're going to be like, what? They're going to be like, I just never had the right support or it was scam, whatever it is, right? So what I'm going to do is, hey, I'm not going to settle with those external reasons, right? Because if they think like what they've done before is a scam, then they're going to think what we're doing is a scam as well, regardless of how legitimate we are, you know? So you having those reasons, not 100% your fault. And then I'm going to go through the same exact sequence to get them to ownership, responsibility, right? And that is how I crush objections before they even show up in the first 5 minutes of the call. So I literally what? Detect the real objection over here. This is where the real objection is exposed. And this is where I really just demolish that objection over here. Every top high ticket closer that I train doesn't handle objections. They prevent them. They don't chase, they calibrate, they don't push, they break patterns, they don't convince, they clarify. Because in this game, objections aren't challenges, they're symptoms. And when you learn to hear the signal before the sound, you stop reacting, you start leading. The question is, if you could eliminate 80% of your objections by changing the way you listen, why wouldn't you?